Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 183. I'm your host, Richard Billy Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Yeah, it's going good. I'm excited because I know this is going to be a really good episode. You know, we got my man Tony here, so I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you already said it. So, yeah, we're also joined by Mr. Tony Polanco. How's it going, Tony?
Final Fantasy 15.
Oh.
That's for Gary right there. What's going on, people? Thank you for having me on the show. It's about to get crazy in here right now, man.
Absolutely. And we are joined by Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I'm doing good, man. I've been busy, been doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff, but I'm finally back and I'm ready to talk some games.
Awesome. Sounds good. So we do have a couple of news topics to get into this week, but before we do any of that, we're going to talk about what we have been playing. So how about you go first, Mr. Polanco, and let us know what you've been playing.
Yeah, see, I'm happy about this because usually when I get on co-op, I haven't been playing dick, right? I've been playing some games, boy, because I got the Pro, right? So I've been checking out a bunch of titles. I'm going to get into it later, but the chief ones I'm playing, I can't talk about it too much. Watch Dogs 2, right? I've had that since once. I've been playing that. And I've also been playing a little bit of Tomb Raider on PC, a little bit of Doom on PC, going back to some of those games to check out how they look. And on PS4 Pro, I was playing Infamous, Shadow of Mordor, Uncharted, and a couple others, man. So it's been a good time for gaming, man. Like now that like the fall's hit, gaming like all the time. So and then recently I was playing Titanfall 2, which is a very good underrated game. People need to be talking about that more. It's been a decent year. Like at the end of it, like it's been good. And then I was playing a Final Fantasy 15 demo last night. Some good shit out there right now.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. This is definitely the time to be a great time to be a gamer. There are no shortage of titles out there to play. So I would expect a lot of people to just play games. Don't really get into too many controversial things or worry about whose system is better. Just play games because this is the time to play games.
Yeah. So by the way, I noticed people haven't been talking about that as much this week. I wonder why. What other big thing happened this week that would make everybody stop talking about video games?
Well, maybe it's a little something that happened Tuesday and went into Wednesday.
It went into Thursday, went into Friday. Oh, I'm not going to get into it. It's just crazy out there right now.
I'm not American, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But I will say it's been nice not to have the fanboys going on as usual because they've been distracted by other shit. But I'm pretty sure they'll come back, especially when sales talk comes next month. But we'll get into that later.
Absolutely. Yeah, they will definitely be back ready to debate once those numbers are released. So looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, very interesting week. As you know, we're not going to get into that discussion today. But yeah, this is a time to make gaming great again. So perfect timing. Yes.
Yeah, right shit.
So okay, Gary, how about you? What have you been playing?
Same as last week, of course I've been playing Overwatch. The new character Sombra, I believe, is going to be released this coming Tuesday, but she was released on the PTR, which is the player test region, which you can get on the PC. I didn't actually download her on that this week because I just didn't have enough time, so I just wanted to enjoy the core game as it is. But I am looking forward to her release on Tuesday, and I will be playing that a lot, once she is out. The only thing is, I know that once she's out, everybody's going to be using her, so that might be a problem. But yeah, definitely looking forward to finally trying her out once she is released in the game. I've also been playing World of Final Fantasy. Now, before the show, Richard told me that I talk about Final Fantasy all the time, like too much or whatever, but I can't help it, man. And this is the month to really be a Final Fantasy fan because we have World of Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 15 is coming out the end of this month. So it's a happy time for me. But yeah, World of Final Fantasy, I'm still really enjoying it. And I'm actually coming to the end of the experience now. I know that because I had to review the the Prima Games strategy guide this week, so I know exactly how close I am to finishing the game now. And yeah, I'm fairly close on that. Me and JJ might actually be doing a turn-based episode on that game at some point, so look out for that.
That's gonna be fun.
For sure, for sure. And also, I've been playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and I got some stuff to say about that. I actually started to really enjoy that experience because, you know, like I say, this is a great game for people who are just fans of Dragon Ball Z. It's not the greatest game in the world, but if you're a fan of that series, you know, it's a great fan service pretty much. But I've been having troubles with the server. Like, the network in that game is terrible. And the thing is, once you get into game, like, you have the choice. You can either go into a single lobby or a multiplayer lobby. And in the multiplayer lobby, it's kind of like, you know, it's like a real social experience. You see people in their characters running around the city and everything, doing different things. So it's a really cool experience just to see all these created characters from people all over the world just running around and doing their thing. But the server is so unstable. And when the server fails, you get kicked out of the game. So you get brought back to the title menu of the game. And this has been happening for like the past few days for me on that game. So like it's almost unplayable at that point. Like you can't even play single player because once you get into the lobby and the network disconnects, you get thrown back to the menu screen. And, you know, after that happens like once or twice, you're like, fuck this game, like, and you just move on, like, because you don't want to be going through that all the time. Like, I mean, if it was just a case where you get kicked out of the lobby, like off the network, but you can still play, then that's cool. But like the fact that it brings you right back to the menu screen, that's like, what the hell's going on, man? Like they need to fix that. They need to patch that so that you can stay inside the game, even if you get kicked off of the network, because it makes no sense. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I've been playing this week.
Sounds good. So I'm gonna just make a very quick comment before we move on to JJ. I do believe that I know you speak a lot about Overwatch, so I'll be very interested to hear when we have the Game of the Year discussion. I personally am hopeful that your Final Fantasy 15 is what gets the most attention over Overwatch. But that's just my opinion, because you know.
Oh, yeah. Like that's a conflict I'm having with myself at the moment, because I don't know if Final Fantasy 15 is actually going to be able to stop me playing Overwatch, because I'm just so invested in Overwatch right now. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. We only got 2 weeks, so I look forward to seeing what happens with that. So yes, Mr. Lugo, how about you let us know what you've been playing, what you've been up to?
So I wasn't on co-op last week for a number of different reasons. I've been playing a lot of stuff, and I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, you know, at various different spots. One thing I can't say, but I can't go into too much detail just yet, not until the end of the month, was that I went to an event in LA. I went to go check out a game for, from Gung Ho. And pretty much that's all I could say right now. Eventually, I have a bunch of exclusive content that's going to be going up, not only on our YouTube channel, but also on the website later on this month, the 21st to be exact. So you guys have a lot of exclusive content to look forward to very, very soon. Besides that, I've been playing for review the new Sword Art Online Hollow Realization. If you guys didn't know, if you haven't already, I really suggest that you check out the interview that I did way back when, during New York Comic Con, when I got to talk to, I believe it was the director of the game, where we discussed a little bit about Sword Art Online. We also had some stuff that I did when I went over to visit Bandai Namco, where we talked a little bit more about the game. So there's a lot of content related to this, and we've been following it for a while. But I finally got it on hand. I'm finally playing it for review. I'm still fairly early on, so I'm hoping to try to get the review out within the next few days, because I want to get through a good chunk of it before I could really kind of start passing judgment. But first off impressions, it's very different from the previous games. Again, very similar to what I saw months ago. It borrows a lot of elements, both visually and mechanically, from games like Final Fantasy XIV Online, as well as a few others like Neverwinter and such. So that's a good thing, and it's kind of fitting for the Sword Art Online, I guess you could say, property of the franchise. You know, the idea of being a pseudo MMO that people could kind of get into. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not an MMO, like an actual MMO game by any stretch of the imagination. It tries to emulate it in a lot of different ways, at least give off that type of feeling that you're in an MMO. But it's not whatsoever. It's still a single-player experience. But I'll have more about that very, very soon as we get closer to that review. Now, besides that, I've also on hand and off hand been playing little stuff here and there with my friends, playing more Smash Brothers, playing some Street Fighter V, because again, I went to a gathering not too long ago, so we all decided to play that. I also have been playing Super Dungeon Brothers for review. Now, here's the problem, though. And I think we talked about this at one point, Rich. The problem is I can't get into a multiplayer game, which is kind of hilarious for a game that is built more specifically for multiplayer, where it's kind of like that's the central focus point on it. It's a dungeon crawler. Again, you probably have seen little things here and there about it, you know, not only for PlayStation 4, but on other platforms as well. But every time I try to go online, multiplayer matchmaking, or try to get a bunch of people together, can't do it. So most of the time I've been playing that game myself. Now, I'm going to give it a little bit more time to try to see if maybe I could find at least one other person or two other people to kind of do a multiplayer game with, you know, a run through of it before I pass judgment, because it kind of sucks, you know, trying to actually get into a multiplayer game and there's nobody else playing it online, which is utterly hilarious. So I've been experiencing that here and there with a couple games like that. Now, the only other thing that I could say that I've really been doing that, again, behind the scenes stuff that is going to kind of relate to something I'm playing very soon, is that we're in the process now of looking up stuff for Pokemon. So definitely be on the lookout for that. There's going to be stuff hopefully by the sometime next week, depending on if things go right or whatnot. But definitely that's going to be some big stuff coming over the horizon. So that's what I've been up to.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you are able to find some people who actually are playing that other game. We have to see how that goes, because I mean, there's a lot of games out now, so I don't know if people have the time. But,
I should mention also, I completely forgot. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've completely forgot to bounce off what Gary said. I have been playing World of Final Fantasy. I'm like Gary. I'm on the precipice of finishing that up because I've been playing it on my own time and stuff. But we're gonna do a turn based on it, and we're gonna talk about it because that game has a lot of fanfare and a lot of nods and fan service to Final Fantasy fans specifically. And there's more to come because I believe it's January, if I'm not mistaken, or sometime in December, where we're gonna get Kingdom Hearts related content to it. So that's a lot of stuff to unpack with World of Final Fantasy. But we'll get more into that when me and Gary finally sit down and talk.
Sounds good. Yes. Looking forward to hearing more about that. So as for me, I've had a real busy week. I haven't had too much time to play games, but I did play one game the last few days. This is a game that no doubt everybody will go out and pick up this upcoming week. It's a game called Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection. I say that jokingly because we already know that there's too many games out now, and I really don't know who is going to want to pick it up. But I will say this. I have been spending some time with that game. My review will be out for the game tomorrow night because that's when the embargo lifts. But, you know, pretty much all it is, you know, it's a collection of Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and, of course, Revelations, all in a collection package. And for the most part, the game looks exactly like it did, you know, when it originally came out last generation. The graphics are supposed to be somewhat improved. I haven't really seen too many improvements. I mean, it all looks the same to me thus far. But to me, while I enjoyed Assassin's Creed 2, I've said this many times. I think that is actually the game in the series that I enjoyed the most of everything released, and I enjoyed Syndicate as well. That will probably be number 2 on my list, but Assassin's Creed 2, hands down, is the top thing. But one thing I will say about playing that game is it makes me very sad and depressed for the direction in which Ubisoft has decided to take this series. Because, you know, they had a story going with Desmond and all this other stuff, but, you know, for those that have already played these games, you already know what happens as you get into the latter part of these games. Desmond is no longer around. That character is dead. And of course, Ezio eventually dies as well. So it's very depressing to see that, to wonder, you know, this was the last time that they really had something with this storyline. They made you think about the future and how the series was going to be impacted in the future. And I'm hopeful that the next Assassin's Creed, they actually do get back to that theme. But I have no idea where the hell they're going now with the series. With that said, though, this game is okay. There are a few performance issues here and there that I have noticed, frame rate drops, so on and so forth. But for the most part, it's the same game that it was, just a remastered edition, but not really anything significant. But what I will say is, if there is anybody out there that never got a chance to play Assassin's Creed 2 or any of these other games, they definitely might want to be interested in picking this up. So far, from what I played, I mean, it's the same experience. So a lot of the issues that those previous games have, they still have in this version too. But for the most part, like I said, Assassin's Creed 2 is a classic. So if you haven't played Assassin's Creed 2, you absolutely should pick up the collection. I believe that Assassin's Creed 2 is also backwards compatible. The 360 version is also backwards compatible now. So you do have that option as well. But if you don't want to go through any of that and you want to have the latest and greatest on your system, even though it's technically the same game, then you can't go wrong with the collection. But I'll have more thoughts on it tomorrow night. So stay tuned for that. But that is pretty much all that we've been playing for this week. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the topics. So, Gary, I believe that you wanted to discuss this topic first. I believe Nintendo has made a couple of statements about the Wii U production coming to a complete end. And I know, Gary, you had a few thoughts. Well, we all had a few thoughts. But Gary, feel free to let us know what your thoughts on as to whether or not this is a good or a bad thing.
I don't have that much to say about it, but I feel like I don't feel like it's as big a deal as a lot of people are making out. Because I mean, we know that the Switch is coming now. It's coming, first quarter of 2017, and the Wii U hasn't exactly been that successful anyway. So in my opinion, it makes sense. They still have the 3DS market. Pokemon's coming out for that. And, people are still buying games on that system and it's still really active. The Wii U, on the other hand, obviously it's the growth has kind of stopped for that system, for that platform in particular. So it makes sense that, they would stop producing it and then, put all their attention and their money towards the Switch, because that's the new thing that they're progressing to. So it makes sense for me, and I don't see any major issue with it personally, but I'd like to hear some other perspectives on that.
All right, so before I get a few other perspectives, I would like to just put a quote out there that we have. This was a quote that Nintendo actually told IGN a few days ago, because the whole reason why this was an issue is because they had made a statement in the beginning saying that they were officially going to end production on the Wii U, but then they changed that. So here is the quote that they said: as recently posted by Nintendo on the Wii U website in Japan, Wii U production will end in the near future for the Japanese domestic market. We have nothing to announce in terms of exact timing. We can confirm that as of today, all Wii U hardware will be made available in the North America market for the fiscal year and has already shipped out to our retail partners. We encourage anyone who wants Wii U to communicate with their preferred retail outlet to monitor availability. So in other words, they still want to, try to get a few sales for those that, may want a Wii U. Even though, but I think that's going to be, I mean, now that the Switch has already been announced and it's out there, I really think that's going to be very hard to convince people why they need to pick up the Wii U, but that's just my personal opinion.
Those retailers are going to be sitting on a lot of inventory for the Wii U.
That's bad. Here's the thing about the Wii U production. I need to go back and toot our own horn on Throwdown specifically, right? Because the rumor was actually first reported, right? It was a rumor that they're going to be discontinued, right? And then like 2 or 3 days later, Nintendo came out saying, no, they're not being discontinued. We called them out on that. It's like, no, these motherfuckers are lying. Watch, this shit is going to be discontinued this year. And then, of course, now we get this news. Yes, it has been discontinued. Nintendo, man, they love doing this shit. It's like they constantly lie like that, And but it makes sense that they're discontinuing, because think about it, right? The Wii U, when Nintendo wanted it to sell 100 million units, it sold 13 million. It's an abysmal failure, you know. And now with the Switch coming out, there's absolutely no reason for this console to exist. It is kind of crazy that they're just killing it right before the Switch comes out, because think about it. The PS3 is still being produced. Xbox 360 just finished getting discontinued earlier this year, you know, way after the consoles have been released. So it's just kind of interesting how Nintendo's just like, fuck it, we're done. Cancel this shit, you know. But at the same time, it also makes sense because the Wii U was just like such a horrible failure, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo a lot of the sentiments from everybody here. I think this was expected. I think it could have come probably a little bit sooner, but now that it's finally over with, it shows that Nintendo's all in with the Nintendo Switch, and I think that's a good thing. That could show the turning point, or at least give a sign that we might be able, at least over once this console comes out again, because we don't know a lot more about it until at least until January, that this could be a different type of approach to stuff from Nintendo. Who knows at this point, but at least this is a good first step. So now, with that being, you know, kind of like shoot out of the way, now everybody's focus could be on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, I mean, when they started talking about the Switch, at that point, I mean, that was all people were talking about because they waited so long to talk about the Switch. So now that
I want to add one more thing into there, though, Rich. There was something that came out, I think it was early this week or right before. I could be wrong on the timing, but this also works out good because now I think you're going to start seeing a steady stream of news, maybe leading up into the January Direct, about Wii U games getting ported over to the Switch. Now, the one that we know that's a definite, that's coming from Nintendo themselves, at least it sounds like, is Super Smash Brothers. But the only thing that we know of is that it's coming. Is that we don't know if it's like a special edition where it's going to include all the DLC or if it's going to have any other special stuff like that. But keep in mind, there's that, and there was also Splatoon. And I think you're going to start seeing other games at some point, besides Breath of the Wild, which we know is going to have a dual release on both platforms and such. That's the last Wii U game for that console, at least the last big game of any significance. So you're going to start seeing other games. And now there was other talk of other titles here and there. Again, still rumors at this point, like Pokken Tournament and maybe a few other re-releases for some of the other later titles that came within the later lifespan of the Wii U. But I wouldn't be surprised if you start hearing about that now leading into January.
I got a question on that, though. Like, okay, so like for those people who bought Smash Bros. And Splatoon on the Wii U, will they have to buy it again on the Switch?
Yes. Yes, that I know was a thing, because let alone it's not the same media between the Switch and the Wii U. Obviously, it's going with cartridges instead of the disc and stuff. But that stuff that everybody bought with their Nintendo Network ID or their their Miiverse stuff or whatnot, that's not going to carry over to the Switch. You're going to have to buy a whole new game. I know it kind of sucks.
That's kind of unfair in my opinion, because I mean, like, these are games that came out kind of recently. Like Splatoon was either this year or last year, I can't remember. I think it was last year. And Smash Bros was just before that, I believe, also. So I believe they should at least do it to where like you get some sort of discount if you get it digitally or something like that on the Switch. Or I understand that if you're producing a new physical media, then you want people to buy that and not give it away for free, but digitally, you should at least, give these people who bought the game some sort of discount or give it to them for free or whatever, because that's kind of not fair that, now that you decide to cut off one platform, they have to buy it for another if they want to continue to play it.
Yeah, I just was going to ask a quick question as well. I know you mentioned that the Zelda game is coming out on Wii U. So here would be my question. Why isn't that game just coming out for Switch now that they've already said we're discontinuing the Wii U? I mean, I think people know that that the Switch is the main focus now. So why is that game still coming out to Wii U and Switch?
That's a good question. And I think a lot of that also has to do with not only the game being announced for Wii U a while back, I think also maybe a little bit is probably for the people that don't jump into the Switch immediately, which I think the majority of people are going to, for the most part, to get on board with all these other stuff, especially people that do play games like Splatoon and like Smash and stuff, and they want to play with the rest of the crowd that's moving with them. But I think, again, maybe that's just because they're fulfilling the promise or fulfilling their statements from a while ago. And also they just want to have that last hurrah for the Wii U at this point, even though most of the people, I'm pretty sure, even on this on this panel that if we were to go play that game, we're probably going to play it on the newest hardware because, again, it's going to be the Switch. It's going to be brand new. And that as a launch title works well for that console, especially if it comes out that day and date with it. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, Tony, you did you have something that you wanted to say?
By the Nintendo Switch? I mean,
I didn't know if you because I thought you was about to say something when Gary was talking earlier. I just was going to ask.
No. I already kind of said my piece about the Wii U. Like it needed, it makes sense that it was canceled now because, like JJ said, they're making way for the Switch to come out. But it is interesting that the Zelda game is still coming out for the Wii U, even though it's not going to be around by the time it comes out. Like fiscal year, I believe it ends. For America, it ends March. Yeah. So there you go. It's very interesting, man. We'll see, man. I don't really want to get into the Switch. That's a topic for another discussion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So, Gary or JJ, any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
No, final thoughts are, I expected this to happen. It makes sense, but I feel for those people who, because there are like games like Smash Bros and Splatoon, there's a heavy focus on multiplayer and playing with people. So it kind of sucks that now a lot of people will be moving to the Switch. So then people will be kind of forced to buy the game again, because if they want to continue to participate in those games, then they're going to have to get the Switch version, which kind of sucks for those people in particular. But this is business, so I understand Nintendo's move here, and I just hope that it works out for them in the long run.
Yeah, me too. I kind of echo a little bit of that, but also I feel a little bit more bad for the people that actually bought games like Pokken Tournament. That those are games that, like, they're pseudo, I guess you could say, first party. It was really developed by Bandai Namco, but they didn't really get a lot of shine. Like, they were towards the very end of the Wii U's life cycle where everything was already going downhill at that point, that are going to get ported over to the next platform. So hopefully maybe those types of games, and again, it's not just Pokken Tournament, I'm pretty sure there's others you guys could think of that could get like more attention, feel a little bit more revitalized, whether they had an online infrastructure or maybe just a single player experience. Like, that'll be more interesting to see. And I feel like that's going to be kind of cool seeing how that environment changes.
Oh yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what everybody had to say. I just hope that there is a way that I would try to think Nintendo would be mindful of those that did invest heavily in the Wii U and all the other games. And for those that actually want to play those games on Switch, I will hope that they are able to figure out a way to make that happen. Obviously, with the cartridges, that's going to means, you won't be able to really buy the game. I mean, you won't be able to get the game free or anything like that. But I hope that they think that process through, or at least allow some type of discount for those that already purchased the Wii U version, because that doesn't make any kind of sense. But we'll have to see. For now, I guess we give them the benefit of the doubt until we know more about the device and actually what their plans are long term. So that's how it is. We're going to move on to the next topic now. For those who don't know, Mass Effect, Mass Effect Andromeda N7 Day was last week, last Monday, actually. And on that day, we received a brand new cinematic trailer, as well as some information regarding the release date of the game, which is supposed to be now spring 2017. There's no real hard date. That's just the only date that they have. As well as we saw a limited edition announced, a regular edition, and then they have different various editions that you can pre-order now today. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on what we did see, whether or not you were impressed with N7 Day in general, because I know I wasn't impressed, but I'll get into that. How about you let us know first what your thoughts are on what we saw, Mr. Lugo?
It looks cool. I mean, again, I still feel like we still need to see more. It's one of those hype trailers that just like, okay, it's around. It got a response from what I saw in it, and it kind of, the timing seemed kind of cool because it was N7 Day. That seems like it would be like a thing that they would have probably made a much more bigger deal than how it kind of came off at that point. But based on what we just saw from the game itself, what was just shown to us and such, I think it's okay. I still need to see more. I need to see more like continuous gameplay to kind of really get a sense of like what Andromeda is going to be. Because we all know it's going to be Mass Effect, but I want to really get to see the nitty and gritty. If it's going to be more like Mass Effect 1, or is going to lean towards more Mass Effect 2 and 3 as far as the gameplay style and such. We already know it's in another galaxy. We already know it has nothing to do with the Normandy and has nothing to do with Shepard, for that matter. I'll be very surprised if they call the main character Shepard again. Like as far as like that same thing and make that a thing amongst all the Mass Effect games. But I don't know. I still think it looks cool. I just want to see more.
Okay, Gary and Tony, why don't you guys give us your thoughts?
Yeah, well, they already said what's going on with the main characters. Like, basically, it's like they're twins, the brother and sister, and they're both called Ryder, I believe. And they go there with their father too, who's like doing this whole Andromeda expedition, right? Here's the funny thing about N7 Day, right? Because a lot of people were saying that they were disappointed by N7 Day because they didn't really see much in the trailer. If you look back at all the other N7 days, this is probably the most eventful one we've seen in years because there hasn't been a Mass Effect game in years, you know. So we actually got to see something. It's not like, you know, N7 Day, here's a bunch of fanfic pictures, you know. It wasn't anything like that. This was real shit, you know. But I will say the trailer itself wasn't, and I'm a Mass Effect person, by the way. Mass Effect was probably my favorite series from last gen. I wanted to see more actual gameplay. Like, I'm glad we got to see what the actual game's gonna look like. It wasn't some CG trailer. It was like in-game engine and stuff. So we get to see what the game's gonna look like on the Frostbite engine, right? It looks good, but at the same time, I would have hoped to have seen some more actual gameplay. I think we're gonna get that. I heard there's a rumor right now. You know, don't quote me on this. The rumor is we're gonna get actual gameplay at PSX, right? A PlayStation experience. We'll see about that. But that's the kind of shit I want to see. But Mass Effect, you know, when it comes to Mass Effect, just give me that shit. Like, I'm already hyped to high hell about this. So give me this game. I'm ready, man. But it is very interesting that they decided we're not going to address any of the shit that happened before. We're going to a whole other galaxy 600 years in the future. We're done. You know, kind of interesting, but I'm hyped for it, man.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm hyped for it as well. I do know, well, regarding the PlayStation experience mentioned, I could see that happening. I know the Video Game Awards show for sure is going to be some footage there. But as far as the trailer was concerned, I'll give my thoughts very quickly before I move on to Gary. I mean, the trailer was interesting. The fact that it was, you know, it wasn't a gameplay trailer makes me think that the game is possibly going to get delayed because, you know, I understand they said spring 2017, and I know that there was a rumor a long time ago that there's a comic that's coming out around March 21st that they said that was listed on Amazon, which made people think that the game is also coming out at the same time as the game. Which is fine, but you know, I really don't think that game is going to make that spring release date based on what I've seen so far. Now, I could be wrong, but I will say this, that I do know that EA has said that if the game needs to be delayed, the most they'll delay it is by 5 months. And you know, they're very confident. They know how important the game is to fans. So I'm fine if it gets delayed. I don't have a problem with that. I definitely absolutely want to see more, learn more. I mean, I thought the trailer was great, though. Absolutely thought it was great. It was very intriguing, very interesting. But there's a lot of questions that they need to answer. And one thing that they did say that I thought was interesting was that they don't really look at this game as a new trilogy, which I'm a little concerned about. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a new trilogy. I thought the original plan was that it was supposed to be a new trilogy. But at this point, I don't really know what to think about any of that other stuff quite yet. We'll have to wait for that because I think that with the last trilogy, I mean, I thought that was excellent. Obviously, the story at the end did not quite live up to the expectations that was set out for it, but I appreciated the fact that they did have 3 games and they really tried to continue that storyline throughout. So we'll have to see how everything turns out. But I think you do make a very good point, Tony, about if you think about all the N7 days prior, we definitely got a lot more information this time around. So I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I just want to see more gameplay now and get a feel for what this experience is going to be like compared to the older games, what they've changed, what they've added to the game, you know, and I figure we'll learn more about that soon.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly jump on something you said because yeah, it's not again, it's still not confirmed yet, but it's not supposed to be like a trilogy. It's supposed to be like an anthology now. Like one game, it's like basically every game it's a game unto itself. Then the following game will be something different, right? I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, your choices aren't really going to be carrying over, right? If it's an anthology. So we'll have to see how BioWare balances that up, because the big thing about the Mass Effect games and Dragon Age games too is how all your decisions from the previous games carried over, So we'll have to see how they make that work.
Exactly. No,
I think that kind of sucks though, because it kind of just diminishes what makes that series so special. Like that, like I like the idea of like this is the beginning of a new trilogy, like a new saga, like that, and call it like the Mass Effect saga or the Mass Effect anthology. But yeah, every triple pairing of games like that is its own thing, where they're their own continuous stories. To me, that sounds like it'd be more cool if they're going like that. But if it's just an anthology, and then at that point they start getting away from how your decisions and how your choices and the way you play influences the subsequent entry into the series, that's going to kind of suck.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Because it's going to be like a whole Dragon Age Inquisition thing. It's like you play Dragon Age Inquisition is great, but all those decisions that were made, like they affected the world, but you weren't the one that made them yourself,
Like I still want Mass Effect 3 to have some sort of influence in this, even if it's something small, like just a small nod, like depending on whether you were Paragon or Renegade, like have something appear on like your hub or something on your desk, or even like a cameo of like a certain species or something. Like if you saved the Arachnoid Queen, or something, like maybe there's like a species of arachnoid that appears in the galaxy, something small like that. It doesn't have to be significant, but just a nod to all those people that played the previous games before.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, because BioWare has been very vocal about the fact that none of this shit that happened before will affect this game. I mean, the game takes place 600 years in the future. I think they're in another galaxy. They're letting you know it's like, nope, none of that shit counts. Because even the game, like at the beginning, it starts off before the trilogy ends. I think it starts somewhere between Mass Effect 2 and 3, they said,
That's interesting.
So
I feel like it's a missed opportunity.
I can agree with that. Yeah. 600 years in the future. That's confirmed already,
Wow.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see about that. So Gary, what are your thoughts? I know you've heard the back and forth. Why don't you let us know what your thoughts are? I know you're a diehard Mass Effect fan as well.
Yeah, I'll get to my thoughts. I just wanted to bounce off of the that topic, that discussion they were just having. Because I used to follow the BioWare writers very closely, because I was a huge Dragon Age fan and stuff, and they used to talk about how complicated and how difficult it was all the time to bring forward your decisions from each game, because that used to create a lot of writing conflicts, because you would have all these different variables that you have to work with, and it makes the writing process a lot harder because you have to consider so many things. So I guess the reason they might want to just go in this direction where your decisions don't carry over to the next game is just to make the writing process easier, and that way they can knock out these games at a much faster pace, I guess, if they don't have to consider all that stuff. So I guess it makes sense in that regard, but it does suck for the player, because that was like one of the most standout things about Mass Effect, period. So it does suck that, we might lose that feature. But, as for my thoughts on the trailer, I'm not someone who gets excited about trailers these days. Unless I'm at E3 or some event or something, I'm just not excited about trailers no more. And I understand that, previous N7 days haven't been very eventful, so this is a big deal. But my thing is that they've been, they announced this game like 3 years ago or something. Like they announced it a long time ago, and they didn't show us anything for a long time. Like we saw concept art drawings and stuff like that, environments or whatever. And it seems like each year they just kind of teased us with content. And even this year at E3, I remember all of us was there, and we were complaining that they didn't show that much in terms of Mass Effect at the EA conference. So I was just expecting at least like a 5 to 10 minute gameplay demonstration to release. But I guess maybe they're saving that for the Video Game Awards. So if they do release that at the Video Game Awards, then fair play to them. But that's what I'm really looking for. Like I want to see how the game is going to play and everything. I'm sure, like I know there's actually some other gameplay videos out there at the moment, but there's nothing like that goes there's nothing that goes in depth with, you know, how you're going to be playing the game, stuff you can do. But with that being said, there was some more information that was released earlier this week about the game, where they were saying that they're getting rid of the classes. So you don't pick between like biotics and tech and all that stuff. It's just you can still choose those kind of skills, but you don't select a class. So you basically you unlock skill points, and then you choose which skills you want to apply to your character. So there's no choosing biotic or tech or whatever at the start of the game, basically. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess the classes never used to matter that much anyway, because your teammates were also, you know, they also had their own classes and abilities, so you could use them for certain situations if you wanted to. I guess this way allows you to be more well-rounded, but I liked that aspect of having to think about what kind of character you wanted to be in the previous series. That was kind of cool to me. But also they talked about you're going to have this thing called the Nomad, which is basically their version of the Mako, you know, from the first game. And once you get on each planet, you can use that to navigate your way around the planet or whatever. It sounds a lot like No Man's Sky, because they were talking about you have to do a lot of scanning to pick up resources and codexes and that sort of thing. So the exploration stuff sounds really interesting. I just hope that, you know, it turns out to be something really good. It might even end up being what No Man's Sky should have been. Who knows? But
wouldn't that be interesting?
That'd be very interesting. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I think JJ wanted to say something. I saw his mic light up. Oh no, I guess not. Can't hear you.
Hey, you made a lot of great points. You said about them getting rid of the classes. I didn't know about that information. So that's I mean, again, I guess we need to give this BioWare team the benefit of the doubt and see what they have planned before we get too worried about what the state of the game is. Microphone check.
Okay, is that better? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now. Yeah, you had something you was gonna say?
Here, finish your thought and I'll say it because I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh no, I just was saying that we'll have to give them the benefit of the doubt to see what exactly the plan is for this game. But they definitely have a lot more to show and a lot more to explain, I would say. So yeah, you can go ahead now.
All I was going to say before was that, you know, based off what Gary was saying about them getting rid of the classes and just making it so that way you could just allocate, I guess, your points and your skills to one thing or another, that kind of sucks for me because that tells me they're kind of getting away more towards kind of like how Mass Effect 2 and 3 were. Like, not so much Mass Effect 1, because one of the more appealing factors about Mass Effect being an RPG was choosing your class, and it kind of dictated how you did things a little bit at the beginning of the game. Now, obviously, towards the middle end portion of Mass Effect 1, and also you could argue the other games too, you ended up becoming a beast anyway, you know, a well-rounded beast, you know, being powerful in most facets and stuff. But I still like this idea of like where you had to make decisions that kind of like, you know, change things up for you every time that you start up a new character. So that, to me, that's kind of a downer to hear. But who knows? Maybe there's other aspects of it that give it more of that RPG type of feel that we just don't know about yet. Who knows?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like, but you know, all of this comes with the fact that they haven't really explained anything in full detail. I do know that this game is the cover story for Game Informer this month. So, I mean, I can look in, you know, have a look at that issue and get more information. But I feel like, yeah, they definitely need to say more and show more, and hopefully that's what they do so that it will give everybody a better idea of what to expect. Obviously, as a Mass Effect fan, I know I'm gonna get the game no matter what, even if they made the changes. But if there is going to be a change, pretty significant change, I definitely want to know about that beforehand, or, you know, leading up to when I actually get it. But we'll have to see how all that goes. What were you gonna say, Gary?
Yeah, the way they described the leveling up and stuff and your abilities, it reminds me a lot of Deus Ex, because that's kind of how you do things in Deus Ex. You get your skill points and then you spend it on the abilities that you want to use for certain situations and stuff. And I mean, like JJ said, I prefer that old school method of, choosing your class, and then that kind of dictates how you play the game. Like I really like that, because it feels like you really are building a character, a character with strengths and weaknesses. Whereas with this, with this way of playing, it's like, okay, I get these skill points and I can just unlock any ability I want no matter what. And that, I mean, that's cool. It's cool. It works for Deus Ex and everything, but I don't know. I would rather just lock in my character to a specific class, especially when you've got, other teammates that can help you in those other situations anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, we'll have to see. We'll see. Well, like we do know, we'll have at least more gameplay at the Video Game Awards show, possibly PSX. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll obviously see a lot more of the game now. At least, I have to say again, to go back to what Tony said earlier about the fact that they showed more. I'm at least glad that we didn't get to see a concept of what the game could potentially be.
Yeah, like a little documentary.
Yeah. Because I still remember when we went to E3, and I was like, what the hell is this? It's like everything we saw, that whole show was concept stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody was confused. That was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. So, I do commend them for at least showing us some goods, but obviously, they still have more to explain, so we'll see what they have moving forward.
Yeah, I got one last thing to say about this. Is this hasn't been confirmed yet, because it's funny, like we've been getting information about Andromeda for like a few years now, but we still don't know that much about the game, right? So one of the fears people have is that BioWare may be turning this game into a Destiny or The Division, where it's just like this giant open world, you know what I'm saying, like open world multiplayer game and stuff, because they have this whole Mass Effect initiative going on. And I think there's like a beta. Beta means it's multiplayer, right? So who knows what they're going to do. I just hope if they do multiplayer, it's like Mass Effect 3, where it's just segregated, completely like up to you if you wanted to play it or not. I just hope it's not integrated into the main game, because to me, Mass Effect has always been about the story, right? It's always been about the narrative. If you just make it into this kind of generic space shooter, that's going to lose a lot. And I mean, listen to all this shit you guys have been saying. They're taking away classes, right? They're taking away choices. Like, what else are you going to take away from this game before it's not even Mass Effect anymore? So I'm kind of worried about that.
Yeah, that really does make sense. That they like the way you just described it. It makes sense that they would do that. Sorry to cut you off, Rich.
Yeah.
Oh no. I just was going to say that actually, yeah, you that's not good at all, because I was going to say that I did notice that the additions that they did announce, some of the pre-order bonuses are multiplayer bonuses. So that I'm not really sure what to expect with that, but if it is going to become like another Destiny, I will not be happy with that decision. Now, Destiny is a good, Destiny is a good game. It was a good game when they actually started to make story content that actually was a story and wasn't just whatever. But I just that I don't want the EA to look at Activision and say, this is what Bungie and Activision did. We need to be like them, and now we need to completely change everything about Mass Effect. I hope to hell they don't do that.
Yeah, that would be horrible. That would kill the franchise for me, as far as I'm concerned.
But I will say that if anyone makes that decision, it's going to be because EA influenced it. Because I mean, I feel like ever since Mass Effect, that whole property got purchased and is now under EA, I feel like BioWare, they don't really have that much control over what they're trying to do with the series. So I will hope that that's not what happens. But what was you going to say, Gary?
I was basically going to say what you said. EA is the main influence, and I kind of remember. I'm not sure. I can't remember it clearly, but I remember at one point EA was saying they wanted more titles like what Activision has. Like they want their own kind of Call of Duty, and they wanted a GTA as well. And I think Destiny was in that conversation, but I can't remember. So it would make sense that EA would kind of instigate that happening. And also, you got to remember, a lot of people have left BioWare. A lot of people who worked on the original Mass Effect series, and even Dragon Age. Like one of my favorite writers from Dragon Age left BioWare. Like is so yeah.
David Gator, right?
Yeah, David Gator. Yeah,
And yeah, I know. Yes, I'm very. And then even with Mass Effect Andromeda, right? This game itself has had so many different like producers and directors in it and stuff.
yeah,
Like it just seems like the whole production is kind of troubled.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, I am kind of worried on how it's going to turn out, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did, do something like that, the whole Destiny thing, because that would make sense on why they've kept it under wraps for so long.
Yeah, shit, man. That would suck. That would be heartbreaking, man. I'm just being honest right now.
Oh yeah. Hey, I know I know you guys have had plenty of conversations on the Throwdown about this generation being not quite as good. Well, if that happens, man, yeah, I think you could definitely say this generation is not it's not looking too good for some of these games. So that wouldn't be good. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to try to give them the benefit of the doubt that they know exactly what the fans want. And that they know people who are diehard fans of this series what they are asking for. So I will hope that they keep that stuff in there. If you need to make a few changes here or there, fine, but don't completely change everything to the point where it's like Destiny or any of these other games, because then that'll be very disappointing for the fan base. So we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts before we move on?
No, that's it for me.
All right, we're good. So very quickly, there was some news that came out a few days ago that, of course, now for the fourth time this year, Microsoft has outsold PlayStation 4, the Xbox One S, or the Xbox One in general. I mean, I don't really know what the specifics of the numbers because I didn't see any number specifics online. A lot of these publishers, they don't release the numbers these days. You just know they're number one for whatever reason. So I wanted to ask the question. I already know where you stand on this particular question, Tony, but I want to ask you: is this going to continue into November?
Nope. Nope. And just to clarify, Microsoft won 4 months in a row, which is actually pretty significant. But
Yeah.
I've said this on Throwdown. I'm gonna say it again here, right? I think that's because everybody knew that the PS4 Pro's coming. They're like, why am I going to get a Slim when I could just wait for the Pro, right? So I believe that when the Pro drops, that's it. That this streak is over for 2 months. I think they're going to win both things because, and here's something I failed to mention on Throwdown. I'm going to say it here. You got to understand that Sony is not going to divide sales of the PS4 Pro and Slim. They're going to be both counted as PlayStation 4. From what I've heard, again, like you said, we don't really have any solid numbers, but from what I heard is each month that Microsoft has won, it's only been by a narrow margin. I think the PS4 Pro is going to help, take it over that edge, Now, after the holidays, I don't know because, it is still the most expensive console out there. Xbox is practically giving away the Xbox One, like $250, 5 games. So I understand why people are picking it up, but I still honestly believe the Pro, and I'll give my thoughts on the Pro in a little bit. I still think the Pro is going to help Sony win November and December MPDs.
Yeah, that's a possibility, I would say. How about you, Gary and JJ? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, congrats to Microsoft, for winning 4 months in a row. But I'm sure the stuff Tony mentioned, that's definitely a factor because once you announce that a new system's coming, not a lot of people are going to be buying PS4s, and people like us will advise other people not to buy a PS4 right now because a new version's coming out. So that makes sense, in that regard. I guess November is really going to be the important one. So I mean, if we see Sony win November, then we'll know that it was just because of the PS4 Pro. But if we see Microsoft win November, then that kind of tells a different story at that point. And we got to look at what's going on a little more. But I mean, I do believe that Sony will take the momentum because since the PS4 Pro came out, I've seen like a surge of people talking about PlayStation. Like so many people have been talking about it over the weekend and the past few days. And
Yep.
you've got the PlayStation experience coming in a few weeks. So I think that will keep their momentum going. So yeah, I mean, I'm just interested to see what's gonna happen at this point. And you got PlayStation VR out there too. So, and it's holiday season, Black Friday's coming up. This is the time for buying, and Sony has new hardware out. So I believe that their momentum will carry them through the next few months at this point. But kudos to Microsoft for winning. They did put out some good games. So I guess they kind of deserve that.
Yeah, ditto all around. Ditto to pretty much what everybody else said. I mean, who knows? Maybe after Christmas, maybe things will change up. But again, there's not really much more that can really be said about it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Everything. We'll have to see how things go. But yeah, I think you all made excellent points just with the simple fact that yeah. Now I will say that The Last Guardian is coming out, so I guess you could say that Sony does have a game that'll be out around this particular time of the year. So people can look forward to that. There are, of course, a lot of people are going to pick up Final Fantasy 15, and the majority of people will be playing that on PlayStation 4. So I think it goes without saying. But we'll have to see what happens after the holiday. What I think is going to determine that is going to be which games are actually coming out at the beginning of 2017 that will push those hardware sales. And I do know that PlayStation has quite a bit of heavy hitters coming out right at the beginning of next year. So, hey, maybe pretty much the same. They may not only just win the holidays, they may also win, most of next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this privately in the Koalition chat room, but Sony has a lot of good games, big AAA games coming out in the next year. So I think that whole drought that we've kind of had since the beginning of this generation is finally going to be over. Because let's do it right now. Let's break it down. What's coming out next year? We got Spider-Man, right? We potentially got God of War, Horizon. Oh my God, Horizon, man, that's going to be ridiculous. Okay, so we got Spider-Man.
February.
Yeah, February, right? Ooh.
And also keep in mind, third-party stuff also I think is going to be a huge thing. Persona 5, that's going to be a very big one. PlayStation 4. It's going to be
I'm glad you bring up. I'm glad you bring up Persona 5 because even though that's correct me if is that multiplat or not?
Oh no, PlayStation, right?
Oh, forget about it. Yeah,
Persona, yeah, I think
I don't think it's multiplat. No. Oh, it's over. It's over.
I know the majority of people are playing it on PlayStation 4. Every person that I've talked to that knows about Persona 5 that's excited about it's getting on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I mean that's the point I want to bring up. Again, I this horrible as journalists say. I don't know if it's going to be multiplat, but even if it is, just like JJ, like you said, people associate Persona with PlayStation. It's going to be sold on that.
Let me confirm that very quickly. Yes, it's only on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4.
That's it. Forget it. That's it. So you can pretty much consider that a first party, not first party, exclusive, right? So you got Persona, you got Horizon. That's in the early year. Then later on, you're gonna have God of War. You have Detroit. Don't forget about that. Spider-Man. Spider-Man will hopefully be out next year. And a bunch of other stuff, man. Next year is gonna be really good.
Wednesday's gone.
Oh, I think that's next year too.
That's my game.
Days Gone's not for a while though. I don't think that's for a while.
That's the game that I'm looking forward to because I know some of you guys don't really care for the zombie games too much, but man, I'm looking forward to that game. And also another game that'll be out at the same exact month as Persona and Horizon is Neo. That's coming out right at the beginning.
That's another one too, but I haven't heard a lot of buzz about that. Like I've seen it talked about here and there, but not on the same level as like all the other titles that we said. It's that I bet you ends up becoming like a sleeper hit.
Yeah, it's interesting though because okay, I agree with you that it hasn't been talked about as much as those other titles, but on my, I'm just basing it off my Twitter timeline. People are very excited about Neo, man.
Yeah,
really hyped. Like even I don't get it because I'm not me personally. I don't really care about Neo, but everybody I talk to is like, "Yo, Neo's gonna be insane."
Oh yeah. People are fans of Dark Souls and Bloodborne. They definitely they are instantly drawn to this game. I played the demo that they released, a couple of the demos they released over this year, and the game is ridiculously difficult. It's an awesome game though. So I could definitely see people being excited for that. So pretty much just like you guys said, there's quite a bit of games coming out. So I'll be curious to see what happens, but I'm pretty sure that PlayStation is in a very good position. Will they win next month? Yeah, I think they definitely absolutely have a chance at it. I also think that Microsoft, that just to reiterate, Microsoft is not going to completely go away in November and December. I'm pretty sure they're going to sell well also. Maybe not as much as Sony, but who knows? It depends on the deals, because a lot of these Black Friday deals I've seen so far, it's a hell of a lot of deals with Microsoft and with the Slim. I haven't seen too many for the Pro, but I mean, we'll find out sooner rather than later, because we're already in November, and December is almost here, and then we'll find out all that information. So I look forward to seeing what it is, but I think you guys made a very good point. Sony has a lot of momentum, so obviously this should be PlayStation 4 Pro all day, every day.
Yep. But I will say this though. If the Xbox manages to outsell it, that's going to be very interesting, because it lets you know what the fuck is Sony doing, man. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Part of me wants Microsoft to win just to see what'll happen,
Oh, well, yeah, listen, you'll see a couple of tweets from, Microsoft, Phil Spencer and them say, congratulations, we sold well in November. They'll have a lot to say about that. But
yeah, I'm more concerned with the fanboys. I want to see what they're going to say. Because remember, I've been saying this shit for months now that they're going to win November. So if I'm wrong, man, I'm ready for that heat.
Yeah, well, hey, it can happen. No, Gary, you was about to say something?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna make a joke, but the moment passed. But I will say though that like the one thing the PS4 Pro has been doing, because like, let's be real, like Sony doesn't have a lot of exclusives this fall, but the one thing the PlayStation 4 Pro has been doing is it's been getting people playing old games again, and that's good in itself, I think. Like, because yesterday I had a discussion with Lesh. Shouts to Lesh. She bought a PlayStation 4 Pro, and she was trying out a bunch of like older games that have been enhanced and stuff, like Infamous and stuff. And that's pretty cool when people go back to appreciate, older games and stuff, because like the industry is so fast moving that it's like people only focus on, what's coming out this week or this month or whatever. But sometimes it's good to go back and appreciate, some of the good games that has come out already. So
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And speaking of, since you brought that up, I want to go ahead and mention this also. Yeah, you are right that the older games do make a difference, because I have seen that Microsoft has put out an ad recently talking about the fact that you can play your 360 games on Xbox One now. I saw this came out a couple days ago. I was like, wow, that's a very enticing advertisement, because they really are touting the backwards compatibility. I know they just added Mass Effect 2 and 3 to that list. So yeah, some people, maybe that is another reason why they finally felt like they should upgrade to an Xbox One, because some games that they've been playing on 360, they can now play on the system. But whether or not that actually goes into the holiday season, I'll be very interested to see, because the campaigns are out there. So I look forward to seeing what happens in November and December. But yeah, congratulations to Microsoft. I personally wasn't expecting them to have the streak going on for this long, because I only said October because Gears of War was out. Yeah. So I was surprised to see all the months prior to that.
Yeah, like here's the interesting part, right? Because this streak started before the S was even released, right?
Yeah.
You would figure no one's going to be buying a regular Xbox before the S, but they still bought it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is very interesting. And I'm currently a Microsoft Xbox Live Rewards member, and I just received an email about them trying to entice me to get an Xbox One S. So I'm guessing anybody that is a rewards member probably got that email also. And they're basically giving you a free game, as well as, $50 credit on Xbox Live to buy whatever you want to buy. So I think that was interesting. But I just got that email. I'm pretty sure they sent that email out to anybody that is a Live Rewards member, which I find to be very interesting. So we'll see what happens. But I think, we already know, as you guys already said, when new hardware gets announced, that is normally something that everybody wants to buy, and that absolutely is correct about what you said about the Pro, because I went to Best Buy on Friday just so I could see how the inventory was looking. There were no Pros left in stock. So I'm gonna be very interested to see how many people actually went out and bought this console, because it's it's a hot item now, so to speak. So any final thoughts before we move into the next topic?
No,
I think that's it.
All right, so PlayStation 4 Pro. Now this is your opportunity to shine, Mr. Polanco. You can let us know what your impressions are of the device.
All right. First of all, and this is, remember, I just have regular 1080p television, so I'm coming at it from that standpoint, right? I think at this point, if you do have a 1080p TV, it may not be worth it, because like very few games have like other extra options. Like the games that do have extra options are, they're good for no matter what TV you have. But like, because basically the whole deal with the PS4 Pro is, right, it upscales games to 4K using like checkerboard rendering. Some games are actually flat out native 4K, and the biggest thing is it makes use of HDR, high dynamic range, which makes like the like whites whiter, blacks blacker, and it just makes all the colors just pop more, right? If you don't have any of that, you won't really see the immediate benefits of the Pro. But there are a couple of games that they actually do take advantage of the fact this thing has a more powerful GPU. The main one is frame rates, right? And it's funny because now that I'm more of a PC gamer, I've realized about myself, like I kind of like higher frame rates more than crazy ass textures, right? Only a handful of games at this point allow you to actually change the options for higher frames. I was playing both Infamous games, by the way, Second Son and First Light. They both have unlocked frames. Rise of the Tomb Raider has it. But I think that's all. I'm not sure. Last of Us does, but you have to lower you can't have it at 4K. This actually applies to every game. You can't have 4K and 60 frames because even a crazy ass PC has a hard time doing that, but I wish, because here's the thing, Sony, they're letting every developer decide whether they want to have these options or not, right? But because of that, you're not getting uniformity between titles. Most games just regularly upscale to 4K. They don't have anything special about them, right? I mean, every game does have HDR, but they just normal upscale. They don't do the checkerboard rendering, which is supposed to make it look almost indistinguishable from native 4K, right? Not a lot of games do that, and then not a lot of games let you have the 60 frames option or the high resolution option. I'm hoping that moving forward, more games will let you have that option, because it's not that difficult. You go into options, you select higher frame, was it higher frames versus better performance or something like that, and that's good. But again, not enough games are doing it at this point. I mainly bought the Pro right now because my regular PS4 was kind of fucked up, so I need a new system. If it wasn't for that, I would have told people to just hold off until you get more games that take advantage of this. But like I've been telling people on Twitter, it's like, if you want these options, just let the developers know. It's as simple as that. But so far, like the actual machine itself, it's a PlayStation 4, so it still runs well and everything. I really enjoy the updated controller. It's not an elite controller, but it's just a little bit better than a normal PlayStation controller. Like, it has more grips in the back and stuff. The analog sticks seem like thicker than normal, which is good because those rubbers wear out really quick. The D-pad is a little bit raised, and I think the controller is a little bit smaller. It's not like crazy smaller, but it's just a little bit smaller than normal, which is fine. It still feels really good. But other than that, it's just a regular PlayStation 4, so all your games will be able to run on it. Although I have heard reports of certain games running worse on the Pro, which is crazy. Like World of Final Fantasy apparently runs worse on the Pro. Last of Us apparently runs like 5 frames lower. It's like, really? That's a last gen game, man. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the PS4 Pro at this point.
Yeah,
I know it doesn't make any sense at all, dude.
Yeah, how does that even make any sense? Like that sounds so silly.
And it's a last gen game. I don't get it, you know. Meanwhile, you got NBA 2K, right? 2K17. That shit's running at 60 frames, you know, completely native 4K without a problem, you know.
Tony, so do you plan on actually getting a 4K TV like anytime soon?
Here's the thing. I do plan on getting a 4K TV, but I don't know about anytime soon because as I've been doing more research, 4K is not okay. 4K itself is standard. HDR isn't standard. Like some TVs have better HDR than others, which is kind of crazy. Like some will have like HDR, but they won't have the full color gamut. Some of them just won't be as good as others. And you know, these TVs are still very, very expensive. Unless I could find like a perfect one for like, because I'm not trying to pay more than $700 for a television, you know. Unless I find something like that during Black Friday / Cyber Monday, I'm not really gonna fuck with it. But I am interested. It's just I want to see more uniformity with the hardware because it seems like it's all over the place. Like if you want to get a 4K TV specifically for gaming, you need to do a lot of research because not only is HDR doesn't seem to be as like standard as it should be, you need to really look into input lag with televisions, right? Because some of these, like, you know, people aren't talking about this. HDR actually kind of fucks up when it comes to input lag. Like it actually lowers the response time. So you need to find a television that's 4K, native 4K, full HDR, but doesn't have crazy input lag. Like if you find a television that's between 20 and 30 milliseconds of input lag, you're good. But still, you know, like, because I've heard of some TVs that have like 60 milliseconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot, especially if you're used to playing on PC where your monitor has like 1 millisecond of input lag, you know? So you really got to do that research if you're going to go in. So, but me personally, I'm going to wait.
Oh no, that makes a lot of sense. I was going to say that I have heard the reports of the games that are not running the way they should be running on the Pro, and I figure, well, you know, this is launch week. You know, maybe there are some things that they need to release more patches for. So I'll say, okay, we'll see how this goes moving forward. But obviously, in the future. Once this device has been out for a while, I would not expect this particular problem to remain as it is now, because we do know that Sony is going to be supporting all of their games on the device, so I would not expect any, like Horizon Zero Dawn. That's gonna run the way that they intended it to run, since that was the showcase game when they showed off the device, as well as all their other exclusives. But we'll have to see what happens with the other developers. I don't like that it's varied by developer because, you know, as you already said, Tony, it's not really any conformity, and that's a bit of a concern. But, you know, I guess it depends on the game as to whether or not people are going to care about that type of stuff. But overall, I guess we'll see what happens. Now, I know last week we already said that we weren't planning on getting a PlayStation 4 Pro on day one. So have, you know, Gary and Mr. Lugo, has your opinion changed of the Pro? Are you now thinking that you want to pick one up in the future, or are you just saying, no, I'm just going to keep my PlayStation 4 until PlayStation 5 gets announced down the road?
Not much. Okay, no, go ahead, Gary.
All I was going to say is my stance hasn't changed at all, but I am excited because like I like loads of people have been discussing it with me, like the people who have bought it, and you know that gets me like excited because I just like talking about technology in general. So it's like it's real interesting to hear, you know, people talk about their experience with it, and it's made me, you know, more interested in the actual system itself. But I don't plan on buying it at all anytime soon. I'm more interested in upgrading my graphics card for my PC and eventually my TV.
Yeah, I'm of the same thing, and not really much has changed with me. I know people that have gotten it within the last, like, I want to say under a week since they've gotten it, you know, since the thing came out. But I feel like I'm not really missing much. I feel like, you know, right about now, I have no need to get a new model PlayStation 4. So I think I'm good.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, hey, totally makes sense. And as I said last week, you know, I just recently upgraded my current PlayStation 4 with the new hard drive. So more than likely, I haven't had any issues with the system working. So more than likely, I will just stick with that for now. But I may pick one up in the future. It all depends. I think I do need to get a 4K TV. One thing that I did wish that both Microsoft and Sony did a better job of is communicating on their website which are some TVs that they would recommend that you may want to get with the device. Because when the Xbox One S came out, that I didn't see anything on Microsoft's site about recommended TVs. It's just talking about the system, and it leans on the consumer doing the research for the actual TVs. And I guess I can understand that to some degree, but I would have been helpful for them to at least point people in the right direction as to what they can consider as an option. Because, HDR, some of these TVs, they don't have the HDR capability in 4K. It's one or the other. So you really have to do your research to figure out what is the best TV to get the best experience. But I'm definitely intrigued by the system. I'm glad that people are having the experiences, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I am possibly going to pick it up at some point. I just don't know when, because I do want to get a gaming PC. So we'll see what happens. But any final thoughts you want to say, Tony, about the Pro?
Yeah, man. Like, by the way, I've gotten a lot of responses to my unboxing video. Everybody found it very entertaining. Like, I don't know, I need to see these videos from like other people's perspectives. To me, I'm like, no, I'm just giving people info, but I do say a bunch of like little weird things in there that people find entertaining, because when I do these things, I just do it off the cuff, But yeah, I like I said in the video, if you're like a hardcore PlayStation guy, right, you're gonna want this. And if you have a 4K TV, that has all the bells and whistles, you definitely want this, because say what you will about the Pro, it is the most powerful console out there at the moment, and it does do 4K, maybe not native 4K, right? But it is suitable for 4K TVs, And I also want to bring up the fact that on the box itself, it never says anything about 4K, which I find very interesting, But yeah, if you have a 4K TV, you definitely, and you're a hardcore PlayStation guy, or even just want to just check out what 4K gaming is about, definitely give this a shot, because it's not that much money. It's like $400, not that bad.
Oh yeah, no, that price is very, very reasonable. That's the reason why I said, I definitely would consider this for that reason. But maybe later. You never know. I may have it. We could record this show. I may have it by the end of next week. You never know what could potentially happen. But yeah, definitely interested in checking it out. For those of you out there that did get a PlayStation 4 Pro, feel free to let us know in the comments section what you think of the device so far, whether or not you're impressed, if there's any complaints that you have, things you think that should be addressed. Let us know about that as well. So we're going to go ahead to the final topic now. And this was a topic that was thrown in at the last minute because we did get some news regarding PlayStation Experience, which is going to take place early next month. So Sony has released a list of several publishers and developers that are going to be there in some capacity, having different appointments and such. Some of these developers include Activision, Adult Swim Games, Bandai Namco, Capcom, CCP, Gunho, which I'm pretty sure JJ knows about, EA, Double Fine, Devolver Digital, CI Games, Guerrilla Games, Impulse Gear, Japan Studio, Naughty Dog, WB, Ubisoft, Supergiant Games, San Diego Studio, and Polygon Digital. And there's a lot more on the list on the actual PlayStation blog. But I guess the question we wanted to ask is, first and foremost, which games do you think these guys are going to have at this show? And then a question I was going to ask after that is, what do you think is something that will potentially get announced or shown at the actual conference? So how about you go first, Mr. Lugo?
Here's a couple things to note. No Square Enix. So don't expect anything related to the Kingdom Hearts. Don't expect anything big. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
You hurt my feelings.
Don't expect Yeah, hey, don't get mad at me. Get mad at Square for not going. Like, I'm just saying, I would love, and by the way, it would have been smart of them to probably go and have another demo for Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 since it comes out next month or the month after PSX. So, but that's one. There's also a couple others. Like we don't see Atlas on there, I don't think. So no Persona 5. That's interesting. No playable demo of Persona 5, which again, we're getting closer to the release of that game. Games like that, those are kind of questionable and stuff. But as far as to answer your question, with Rich, as far as what do we think is going to be there, what do we think is going to get announced, I think that, it would be kind of cool because it's been lurking around for quite some time that we'd see more of Red Dead Redemption 2. That'll be interesting to see. That's been lurking around ever since the teaser, the teaser trailer that we got. And even during E3, a lot of people were saying that at some point. But as far as like other games that we're going to see a lot of Sony first party stuff. We're going to see stuff like Gravity Rush 2. We'll probably see The Last Guardian there. We'll probably see maybe a public playable demo of Horizon. That'll be kind of cool because again, Horizon comes out in February. Stuff like that. I think more of the obvious types of stuff. Now, as far as anything that might be like shooting for the stars and such like that, I mean, there's a couple of things I could think of that are probably like unlikely or like, impossible and stuff. But I would love to see more stuff, maybe like hinting at Capcom bringing. Oh, well, Capcom already said they're bringing Akuma playable in Street Fighter V at PSX. So that's already a given at that point. Maybe a couple other hints to, down the line for the rest of the season or the rest of like the other DLC that they have planned out. Also keep in mind, King of Fighters 14 came out this year. So maybe SNK could give us a hint of like what's next. I would love to see another iteration or more stuff for King of Fighters 14, even though it's not as popular as Street Fighter 5 and such. And again, the list could go on, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. That's just my thoughts so far.
Yeah, this is going to be the first PSX. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not going to have Uncharted 4 because the game's already out. That has always been like the highlight of these PSXs. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, Mass Effect Andromeda, I expect that to be there. I don't see Rockstar on this list, but yeah, if they had Red Dead Redemption, because we already know they have an exclusivity deal with Sony, so that would be dope if they're there. Capcom, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could show Resident Evil. For a fact they're gonna have some VR games there. They got to show that off. I do see Naughty Dog on the list though, so who knows? They may be showing something. Maybe they will show Uncharted again, just cause But yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting too much from this PSX, but who knows? They might pull a surprise like they did with trolling everybody about Final Fantasy VII. Like they did the first time around.
That's a very good point. Yeah, you never know. How about you, Gary?
I really don't know what to expect at this point. I mean, no Square Enix, so I'm sad. But I mean, Ubisoft. I mean, we might see Ghost Recon because we haven't seen a lot of that, have we? And I mean,
yeah.
Capcom might announce the Ultra Mega Edition of Street Fighter 5 or something.
Tekken. That's another one. Bandai.
Yeah,
more
Tekken. I don't know. Like besides that, I mean, the Mass Effect Andromeda and the Red Dead Redemption ones make sense also, based on what we know. But besides that, I really don't know what to expect at this point. I do believe we'll see more of Horizon and God of War, though.
Oh yeah. Well, so I'll say this.
One more thing. Spider-Man. I think we'll see some Spider-Man.
Yeah, we need to see that. We absolutely need to see that.
I doubt it. I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man. I think I think we'll probably get the same trailer, if not a variant. I don't think we're actually going to see that game playable.
Did you guys
played for us? I mean,
did you guys see the new trailer that dropped today? The King trailer. They didn't have footage of Spider-Man, but it was like basically some king running around like he was going to war, but then like he's too busy thinking about playing PlayStation 4 and shit. It's a very interesting trailer if you guys haven't seen it. It's just like PlayStation the King. Yeah, very interesting. But they had a scene where like the king is like in a modern city and you see Spider-Man, and it was pretty convincing looking CG too.
Was this like a marketing trailer for PlayStation 4 Pro? Or is this you said it's a King trailer?
Yeah, it's I'll find it for you, but I just find it interesting that this is just a promotional trailer just for PlayStation in general, but all the games they're showing are coming out next year. None of the games are out this year. So it's like it's not really a good advertisement for the Pro,
Oh, but no. Oh, yeah. I definitely want to see
Greatness
that.
awaits. That's all it is. Let me link to you guys.
I have a question for you, Tony. Do you know when the release window for the Spider-Man movie is? Because that's next year, isn't it?
Actually, I believe there's a release date. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already a date. It's
like May.
Summer, right?
Yeah, because remember they had to push back like Thor and other movies just because
it's like
of
May,
this.
right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it right now.
I believe the game might drop around.
Oh no, July 7th.
Okay,
July
so it's in the
7th.
summer still. There you go.
So Gary, you might be right. Maybe the game will drop, just to coincide. But hopefully they won't rush it either. That would be horrible if they do that.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah, I know they said that they wanted to take their time on some of these games, and I don't think that Sony is in a position to rush anything because they're number one. So the fans will wait for them to, drop the greatness. Greatness awaits.
It's always awaiting.
Yeah, but hey, I'm gonna check out that trailer because I didn't see that trailer, and that's awesome for them to have these different games that are coming out next year in it. So I'm gonna check that out. But what I was gonna say is I do agree with pretty much all you guys said. I think Red Dead Redemption, because I know that was a rumor that we were supposed to get that footage at the PlayStation E3 presentation. But obviously that we got Days Gone instead at the very end. So I think that we will hear more. We will see that. One thing I will say is Final Fantasy VII Remastered. It said that Square Enix wasn't on the list, but as far as the trailer is concerned, you could still have some games that will appear in whatever presentation they're going to have, and then they just not be at the show. But I think I do agree with JJ. Square Enix should be there because the Kingdom Hearts games that are coming out. I mean, that would be the last time for people to get a chance to check out the game before it actually comes out in January. So that is a missed opportunity if they aren't going to be there at all.
And more presents for Final Fantasy 15, keep it in mind, because FF15 only comes out a short time prior to PSX. So, I mean, maybe there's logistical reasons for that. And I still think that for games like that, for Kingdom Hearts, 2.8 to extent, and more specifically Final Fantasy Remake, I think it's better that right now we don't see those games because I think they already got a lot of stuff that's out that's going to take away from the shine of that. And I think also, too, would say something about the development of those games, which I think is a bad idea.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all very good points. So if they decide to not do it right now, that's fine if they don't show anything. But we'll see. One thing I did want to say, though, in terms of what is going to be there or what may potentially get announced, I think that a lot of the games that were announced last year, if you notice, there haven't been any updates on some of these games. So I feel like you are going to get an update. So take, for example, Ni no Kuni 2, because you recall they showed that last year at PSX. We haven't heard nothing about that game ever since. So I'm pretty sure we may get an update about that at this year's PSX because I believe that game was supposed to come out in 2017. I'm not sure. I don't think there was ever a release date when they showed it. They just showed that they're working on it. So, that God of War I do expect to see there. And as for other games, I have no idea. Although I will say this, the reason why Naughty Dog is probably there is because they're there to show off the last piece of DLC for Uncharted, because I know that they're working on a single player thing, a story driven part of the DLC. I don't know what that is yet, but we may hear more about that soon. And I guess if people are still, I don't know if anybody's still playing multiplayer, so I don't know if they have any other multiplayer content coming. But there is going to be something that is announced there, though, that no one expects. So I'm very curious to know what that's going to be, because I have no idea what it could be. And the next Destiny or what have you, I have no idea.
What, a release date for Gran Turismo, maybe?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that game.
Yeah, Gran Turismo Sport, that's right.
Yeah, I forgot about that game, and Sony forgot about it as well.
Maybe VR support for it as well.
Yeah, right. Oh, that would be insane.
I mean, like, there's certain games that I feel like either should have gotten or are probably in the process of getting VR support, and that'll be a kind of cool spot to announce that, like, hey, you could play this on PlayStation VR, and Gran Turismo Sport would be a really good one, for people, especially if they want to get people jumping on PSVR right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a very good idea. Man, hey, I'm not sure what any other surprises we could see because I don't know what any other games are supposedly being worked on. But I look forward to definitely hearing more about it. I will say this, and I, this joke may be a bit of a low blow, but I have to say it. At least I do know that Hello Games may not be there.
They are not going to be anywhere. You are not going to hear from those people for a very long time. And I think at this point, it's kind of to their benefit because they've already shown that, or at least everything that's happened with them has been a disaster. And I think that they would not, unless Sean Murray comes on because it comes on and is like, hey, you could play No Man's Sky in PSVR, and we changed a whole bunch of stuff with the game. Then I think nobody really is on good terms with them right now at this point. And I think keep in mind. I'm pretty sure that won't happen either, that they won't be there because after who was it? I don't remember if it was Sean Layden or somebody else that talked about it recently in an interview. I forgot which spot it was specifically. I can't remember the individual who did it, but I know there was a comment about it that they asked him about No Man's Sky, and they said pretty much the same thing, kind of echoed a little bit of what Shuhei Yoshida said. So it's them backing away from that as much as they can.
I don't even think the Hello Games guys have been seen in public since August.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say it's like you haven't seen them. You're not going to see them here, and you haven't seen them in their office either. These guys are just gone.
Yeah,
it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
Yeah, it really is, man.
Oh well, it's all good. I still support Hello Games and Joe Danger. Joe Danger was a lot of fun. They had some ambitious goals with this other game, maybe too ambitious, but they learned from their lesson. I will hope. So we'll see what happens. But I will tell them, you could always release No Man's Sky on Xbox One. Maybe that will help. The people who have been waiting for the game that can't play it on PlayStation 4. But we'll see about that. So, any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show?
Can we address that guy in the comments?
Actually, yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. But I was going to ask you, any final things you guys want to say about PSX?
No, just wait, really. Just eagerly awaiting it.
Yeah, eagerly awaiting it, and we will update you guys on the future because we are actually trying to attend this show. So I'll definitely keep you up to date as to what's going on with that. Maybe I will have an announcement to make next week. You never know. But so let's go ahead and let's address what we need to address, Tony, with the commenter on the site.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Okay, so this dude called Extra Nobody, right? He comes on the comments of Throwdown Your Questions, episode 108. So he's kind of mad at me a little bit for two reasons. I'm gonna give the smaller one, and then I'm gonna give the bigger one later. So he's mad at me because he says that I'm making up some of Albert Pinello's comments about the Xbox Scorpio, how because he was on some podcast, right? Inner Circle podcast, I believe it was, and the headline was Xbox Scorpio, uncompromised 4K 60 frames per second, says Albert Pinello, right? I call bullshit on that immediately. I'm like, no fucking way, and then I linked to the show where he talks about this stuff, and he's like, oh, Tony, you haven't been given proof. I've been given proof. This guy doesn't want to believe it, right? But that's not even my issue. My issue is this dude comes into the comments, says that I've been, I've been deleting his comments, that he's been saying all this stuff, and I've been deleting his comments, and he just goes on and on and on, going, Tony, please stop deleting my comments. I'm a fan of the show. I just want to talk to you. Please stop deleting my comments. I'm going to be real with you guys, right? This pissed me the fuck off, right? Because I value the relationship I have with the fans, right? The readers, the listeners, whatever, right? I value it because I don't consider myself one of these ivory tower journalists. I'm down there with the people because I'm one of the people. I'm still buying fucking games. I'm not like those kind of funny guys where they're like, oh, we didn't get a review copy of the PS4, so we're not going to talk about it. I'm not one of those idiots. I fucking buy this shit. I'm one of the people. So to have one guy just coming out saying that I'm deleting his shit really got under my skin, and then especially for the fact I don't even know how to delete comments. I don't know how to do that shit. So I hit up Gary, and Gary, he posted in the comments too, and I'm like, yo, Gary, were these comments deleted? And he's like, He looked through all the years that Koalition's been around. He's like, nope, we haven't been deleting shit. So either one or two things is happening. Either one, he's having an issue on Discuss, right? Which is the engine we use for comments. Either there's an issue with Discuss or he's fucking lying, right? I don't know which one it is, but my main thing is this. Okay, this dude comes in here accusing me of doing this shit without even giving me the benefit of the doubt that there's something wrong with the technical side of shit. It's just, no, you're deleting comments. He couldn't even say, oh, Tony, I think there's something wrong. These comments are being deleted. What's going on? No, he just had to come in with the insults immediately. So, right now I'm more calm, but that day when I read that, I wanted to take his fucking face and smash it in a wall, talking that shit, So my man, like, if you're listening to this, no one's deleting your shit. Go on Discuss, see what's going on over there, but nobody here is deleting shit. I want to break it down like this, right? Everything this dude said was not offensive at all, right? So why are we deleting comments from this guy, yet when other Zinc and Damon, who talk not only shit about me, but of the Koalition as a whole, we didn't delete any of their fucking dumbass comments. We kept them shits right there. So why are we not deleting real offensive comments, but we're deleting your silly comments? That makes no sense, bro. We're not deleting your shit, and I want you to understand that.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much is the gist of what the issue was, And I, like I said, I also left the comment to clarify, and I would like to clarify on this show as well. Again, we're not here to censor anybody's comments. People are free to say what they want to say. I would ask to be mindful and respectful when you say something. Don't attack or accuse or abuse anybody in the comment section, because everybody here is, we're all meant to respect each other, and we're just talking about games. There is a lot of stuff going on in life outside of games, but the games is supposed to be a escape from the norm and just having a good time. So, obviously in this particular sense, people should comment as they so feel, but be respectful of the other person that that leaves a comment. Don't go after them like that. So we don't ever delete comments. We've never deleted comments since I've been around, even since when the site started. We've never done any of that. We appreciate when people comment because that shows they actually are listening to the content. They're actually watching the content, and that's the whole point. We like seeing people comment. So as far as what they say, again, people are respectful of what they say. Or if they have a point they want to make and they get across and they disagree with somebody, all we ask is that they be respectful about how they approach that. That is it. But no, we don't delete comments. We never will delete comments in the future. Just people need to be aware of the situation. But
yeah, just to bounce off of that too. Like, definitely don't delete comments. And, the only time we'll ban people is if they're, being offensive to other people, calling names and stuff like that, because, that's not cool. But as long as you're just arguing your point about video games, that's cool. And, I'm crazy. I like seeing that. I like seeing people come in the comments and talking their shit and stuff. Like, that actually excites me because I like engagement. But we'll never delete content. And that particular person, like, he was being really aggressive with his comments saying that, Tony was deleting his stuff, and he doesn't even have the facts to back up what he's saying, So that was uncalled for. And, being the technical person on the site, I can definitely confirm that didn't happen. And what I think may have happened possibly, because he might be lying, that's one possibility. But what may have happened as well is he might have flagged the spam indicators, because sometimes, how you word your comments, like if you use a lot of caps or if you use symbols back to back, that can sometimes flag the spam indicators. Or, if you have a suspect email address. And, when I was checking, to see if his comments were deleted, I did catch a glimpse of his email address, and it does look kind of suspect. Just like going off of what his name is. His name is what's his name? Nobody.
Yeah,
something.
extra nobody. Somebody.
Extra nobody. Yeah, so you can kind of guess what his email address might be, and that kind of keywords like that kind of flag, the spam indicators. So it could have been a case of just his stuff got flagged as spam and Discuss deleted it basically. So don't come on the site and accuse us. You know, it's cool if you want to disagree with something we said about video games on the site and stuff like that. But, you know, just be respectful of us as well.
Yeah. Because like I said, if you were to just come in there and just talk about how you disagree with what I've been saying about the Scorpio, that's cool. That's perfectly fine. Don't come in here accusing me and us of deleting your shit without any evidence, you know? Like, again, we're not these guys, you know, that just don't give a fuck. And we're too good for the average gamer. We're regular gamers. So when you come talking that shit, we're going to respond. That's just the way it is, you know. We're not going to just like sit back and not take it, especially like again, I take this sort of accusation very seriously because of the relationship I have with the fans, you know. It's like we could agree all day, every day, but I want your voice to be heard. We don't do like, you know, like suppression of voices around here. We don't play that shit, you know.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Like it has already been said, we are an independent site. So when people comment, we enjoy seeing the comment. We enjoy seeing the engagement. So why would we ever do anything to get rid of that? Get rid of those comments or anything like that? You know, that's what the whole point is. So I'm glad that
I need to say this real quick because I know somebody's going to say it.
Oh,
but you banned Others Inc. I want you to understand that decision was not made lightly. Right, we've you know, the fans have been asking us for months, can you delete this guy? He's causing all these problems in the comments, right? And we noticed it too, but it took us a very, very long time to actually come to that decision, just because of the fact that this guy, even though he was being an asshole, he was still supporting us, you know. So if anybody ever gets banned or anything like that, that's a decision we don't make just cause, you know, again, because we're independent site, we can't just be deleting everybody that says something kind of negative, you know. But Others Inc. is definitely an exception. You didn't, even though I'm still kind of mad at you for accusing me of shit without giving me the benefit of that, you at least came in here with respect. Those type of comments would never be deleted here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that was said. But as I said before, we don't delete comments. I'm glad that Gary gave the technical analysis overview of the situation. This is why Gary is a technical guy. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I'll say a little bit more on Throwdown your question, just because I need to say it there, but everything that needed to be said that I wanted to say, I got it out here. And I guess I'm kind of glad I got it out here because I'll probably be less hostile during my show, you know, because man, I'm telling you, if I would have been here on Friday, this would have been a different story, because I was talking to Brett. He had to calm me down because I was ready to smash this dude's face in talking that bullshit, you know. Again, I'm not Jeff Keighley, man. You come talking shit, I'm coming at you. You know.
Hey. They don't want that. They don't want no violence. You know, we have to listen. We have to come together now because of all of the events that have happened this week. We have to unify. So
Rich is like Woosa.
Yeah. We have to unify. So yeah, you know, obviously that was it's a little bit of an issue there with the comments. You know, yeah, I would ask people, please do their research before you make any accusations.
Yep.
That's the main gist of that, you know. But obviously, people who've been rocking with the site for a long time knows we don't do that anyway. So that's just something. I'm glad that it was said, it was addressed. So we shouldn't have any issues with that moving forward.
Word.
So I believe that is it for this week's show. I believe you guys have some final shout outs you would like to give. Mr. Lugo, I'm allowed you to go first if you have any final shout outs or final words.
Muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
There you go.
There you are.
Oh no!
Wait, now you're muted again.
No, it's just like it froze up for a second, so I probably hit it twice. Well, I guess you could say a couple shout outs, couple like nods and such. Thank you to everybody listening. Thank you to everybody leaving comments. Thank you to everybody looking at the editorials and all of our content that we've been putting up on the site, the YouTube channel, all over the place. Thank you to everybody sending me the good comments and stuff on Twitter, on Facebook. That's always cool when I was out on business. Thank you to Gung Ho, which, again, you guys will be hearing more about that stuff very, very soon. Again, towards the end of the month, a lot of stuff to discuss, a lot of stuff to talk about. And just thanks to everybody who just allows us to keep doing what we love to do, so we can keep bringing you guys some good content. Thank you to the patrons. That's another thing that we got to thank the patrons and stuff. And be on the lookout for more exclusive content very soon.
Absolutely. How about you, Mr. Polanco? Any final shout outs?
Yeah, as always, I want to give a shout out to the fans, the real fans, who love what we do, who always let us know that they appreciate the time we take out of our lives to bring them the good content and all that. And yeah, I'm not really a person that wants to give shout outs to any companies or anything, so I'm not going to do any of that. But yeah, always shout out to the fans, man. You guys make all this shit possible.
There you go. How about you, Gary? Any shout outs?
Yeah, shouts to all the Patreon supporters, of course. That's M. Collins, Sean Gority, Michael Hatcher, Stephen Ferron, Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, and Alfonso Ortiz. Shouts to you guys. We appreciate your support. And shouts to all the people who joined us in the chat. I'll name some of them, not all of them, because there are quite a few people. We got Black Star, Reggie Butler.
Oh, yeah.
Reggie, you need to come on the show, man.
Yeah, Reggie. Where you at, son? You need to get off of that system and come on here sometime. Yeah.
For real. Low to high, Cigar Goyle.
Man, fuck Cigar Goyle, man. I know him. I know him personally. That's what I'm talking. Yo, I'll talk to you about because if you see him on Twitter, I'm not gonna give away shit. But as soon as he said, "Oh, that's Bald Bull," I'm like, I know who that nigga is. Shout out to that dude. He's cool, man.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and shouts to Illustrated Dio. Shouts
my
to
man
you guys.
Dio. Yo, let me tell you about Dio real quick, man. Dio is the first fan I ever met, like face to face. I met this dude at Comic-Con like 3 years ago. Mad cool dude, man. Always supportive. Always a big shout out to Dio.
Yeah, always great meeting the fans, man, in person and stuff. So shout outs to all you guys. And also with regards to the Koalition hat, because I have had people, some people messaged me directly about it and said that they were interested. So, I mean, if I am going to, if we are going to sell this, I need to know exactly the numbers of people who are interested, so then we can make like bulk orders and stuff. So I'm gonna, at some point, I'm gonna release a form or something on the site to get people to sign up and log their interest in buying a hat. So then just so we know how many people exactly are interested in buying one, and then, we can get that all manufactured, and then, you guys will have the chance to buy that. So thanks for all the interest in the hats, and look out for the form.
Awesome. And I would like to give a shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you all for continuing to support us in our efforts in what we do. All the fans in general, we thank you for the continued support. And I would like to end with this particular message. I would like to say, if you are in any way concerned about what took place this past week, there was a little event that took place. I'm not going to go into any details what that event was. I just want to tell you this. Don't focus all of your attention on that. Continue to enjoy what you have in this life, because you only live one time. And know that that doesn't have to affect you directly if you don't allow it to. There's always a way to look at things positive, and there's always a way to focus on what actually is more important. So while that is important to some, I don't think you should be worrying about that. I've heard people talking about, oh, I'm going to get my passport. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Man, you ain't moving. Get the fuck out of here. Shut up with that bullshit.
Yeah, you don't need to take that approach at all. You just need to focus on what you're doing. If you want to improve things within your own life, that's what you should focus on. Don't worry about what's going on outside with all this other stuff with the government, because that's out of your control. Only focus on what you can control within your own self, and you'll be good. That's just my message for this week.
Yeah, Rich, real quick on that. I want to actually give you a shout out, because you kind of gave the folks out there like a truncated version of the message you had on Facebook. I think that message you put up there was very important for people, because you hear both sides just losing their minds, and you went in there telling everybody like, yo, just keep it calm. The shit doesn't directly affect you like that. Like, focus on yourself, focus on your family and all that. So I really appreciate that you put that out there, because there's just been too much craziness going on, and we need more level-headed people like you putting out like positive messages like that. So I wanted to give you a shout out.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Hey,
that was to Rich, man.
Hey, well, I just put that message out there because I felt as though I had to deliver that message, because I was told I needed to deliver that message. So glad to put it out there. Just I want people to remain calm, because a lot of people were stressed out all of this week. but it's over with now. So, just relax and just focus on yourself, focus on what you're doing in your life, and don't let any of this other stuff, really, really get you down. Just focus on yourself and you'll be straight. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. We're going to get out of here now, play a couple of games. But we'll talk to you all next week.